So 休息一会儿了，找我喝咖啡了。提高，所以在总结呀。当然，所以得提高，所以在总结呀。他好像比我大吧？
你看看。Yes, I took a shower.
Would Martha come?
Yeah.
What happened? What happened? 谢关注。
Hello. I want to welcome you to the screenwriting workshop. My name is Sid Field. And over the years, Hello. I want to welcome you to the screenwriting workshop. My name is Sid Field. And over the years, I've taught thousands of screenwriters, including some of the most famous names in Hollywood, this same workshop. And now I want to share with you some of the things I've learned. The purpose of this workshop is to guide you through the process of writing a screenplay, from the inception of the idea to the actual completion of the finished script. Now, some of you may have already written a screenplay. Some of you may be journalists, novelists, or copywriters, and now you want to write a screenplay. And maybe some of you have never written anything before, but you have an idea and you know it's going to make an incredible movie. My job here is to help you take that idea and realize your dream of creating the screenplay you've always wanted to write. There's something you have to know. Screenwriting is a craft that occasionally rises to the level of an art. And that's what we're focusing on, the craft of screenwriting. The craft of screenwriting is something that can be learned. How good or how bad it is, well, that's another story. So this screenwriting workshop is going to guide you through the process of writing a screenplay. It's about writing the screenplay you want to write, a screenplay that you can be proud of, the screenplay you could submit and hopefully sell to Hollywood for $1 million. Now, during the time that you and I are together, it's important for you to remember a few things. First, writing a screenplay is a process that's always changing, always evolving, and therefore it's larger than you are. What you write today is going to be out of date tomorrow. And what you write tomorrow is going to be out of date the day after tomorrow, and so on. So don't be too attached to your initial ideas and concepts. The only thing that ultimately matters is what works within the context of the screenplay. The rule is, if it works, use it. And if it doesn't, don't. Second, I want to talk about discipline. A lot of people worry about having the discipline to write a screenplay. Some of you may have a full-time job. Some of you have a family. Some of you have both. But whatever your individual circumstances, the problems of discipline are always the same. What's important is to find the best time of day or evening for you to write the screenplay. It could be before you go to work in the morning. It could be after you get home from work at night. You have to decide what works for you. No one else can tell you. This is your course. You find the time and work at your own pace within the structure of the workshop. Now let's talk about this course for a moment. The first time you view this, you may want to watch it in its entirety, just to get the feel of what we're doing and what the exercises are. Then, when you're ready to start writing your screenplay, view it in sections. At the end of each section, you'll receive your assignment. Just stop the tape and do the exercise. Writing is a step-by-step, day-by-day process, so don't try to do everything at one time. That's why the course is broken down into 4 complete sections. The first section is getting started. We'll start with the idea, then break it down into an action and character. Then we'll structure it into a complete dramatic entity with beginning, middle, and end. Then we'll write a 4-page narrative treatment of your story, focusing on the elements of dramatic structure. When you finish part 1, you'll have written a 4-page treatment. In part 2, we'll create the characters, define their dramatic needs, plot their course of action, their emotional arc, and discuss the nature and function of dialogue. Part 3 is where we actually write the screenplay. Again, we'll work in individual units of dramatic action. We'll begin by setting up, structuring, and then writing Act 1. We then prepare, structure, and write Act 2. Then we prepare, structure, and write Act 3. And that will complete the first words on paper draft of your screenplay. Part 4 is where we rewrite the screenplay, tightening, polishing, honing the first draft. When you complete this course, you'll have written a professional screenplay ready to submit to Hollywood. And one more thing. During this course, I'm going to be using several films as examples to illustrate the process of screenwriting. I chose these films carefully because they are excellent teaching films. The 3 films are The Shawshank Redemption, Titanic, and Thelma and Louise. These are all excellent films, and you should view them before beginning this course and writing your own screenplay. It is not meant to tell the entire. The first thing we need to do is define what a screenplay is. And we do that by defining first what it's not. A screenplay is not a novel. When you read a novel, you'll see that the action takes place inside the character's head. in the mindscape of dramatic action. When you see a play, it takes place on a stage in front of an audience, and the action takes place through the character's words, through the language of dramatic action. But a screenplay is different. A screenplay is a story told in pictures with dialogue and description and placed within the context of dramatic structure. Now, I'm going to be referring to this definition throughout the course. What's the first thing you need to write a screenplay? It's obvious. You need an idea. Then you have to form that idea into a subject. In the language of screenwriting, the subject is an action and a character. So who is your story about? Who's your main character? And what happens? And how does it end? Before you start writing one word of your screenplay, you must be able to define what your story is about and who your story is about. For example, in The Shawshank Redemption, it's a story about a man who's convicted of killing his wife and her lover. And after spending 19 years of time for a crime he didn't commit, he escapes to Mexico. Now, that's not the story. That's what the story is about. Your subject is not meant to tell the entire story. It's only meant to be a guide for you to organize the story. Now, we're going to talk about screenplay structure. There are two definitions of the word structure. The first definition is to build something or put something together. And the second definition of structure is the relationship between the parts and the whole. Take the game of chess, for example. There are 4 parts that make up a chess game. 1, the pieces. You can't play chess without the pieces, the knight, the queen, the bishop, the pawn, and so on. 2, the board, because you can't play chess without a board. And 3, you need players or a player. And 4, the rules. You take away any one of these 4 elements and you do not have a chess game, because it's the relationship between these elements, between the parts and the whole, that make up a chess game. And that's what structure is, the relationship between the parts and the whole. A story is a whole. It's built or put together with the parts. Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, scenes, sequences, characters, costumes, locations, music, special effects. All these parts make up the whole, which is the story. Now, this brings us to what I call the paradigm. The paradigm is a model. I created it to be an instructional tool. For example, a table is a top with legs. But within the paradigm of the table, you could have a low table, a high table, a round table, a square table, and so on. You get the idea. Now, in the same way, a screenplay can be illustrated as a paradigm. And this is an essential tool in understanding the structural nature of a screenplay. And here's what it looks like. All stories have 3 things in common. They have a beginning, a middle, and an end. The beginning corresponds to Act 1. The middle corresponds to Act 2, and the end corresponds to Act 3. Remember, a screenplay is a story told with pictures, in dialogue and description, and placed within the context of dramatic structure. Acts 1, 2, and 3 are individual units of dramatic action. Now, most movies are about 2 hours in length, and 1 page of screenplay equals approximately 1 minute of screen time. Therefore, the average screenplay is approximately 120 pages long. The way it breaks down is that Act 1 is a unit of dramatic action that's approximately 22 to 30 pages long. Act 2 is a unit of dramatic action that's approximately 60 pages long. And Act 3 is a unit of dramatic action that's approximately 20 to 30 pages long. Now, this varies, of course, from screenplay to screenplay. This is form, not formula. So going back to our definition, the screenplay is a story told in pictures with dialogue and description and placed within the context of dramatic structure. Well, context is a space. For example, if you take a glass, there's a space inside this glass. And the space inside this glass is what holds the liquid in place. Now, I have water in here now, but I could very easily have milk, iced tea, beer, wine, any kind of drink. And the space inside does not change. That space is the context. Even if I got creative and I put nuts or trail mix or raisins or grapes, the space inside the glass remains the same. The context does not change. Only the content changes.
Context does not change.
Now, since we're talking about dramatic structure, there is a dramatic context. The context for Act 1, for example, is called the setup. Because in this first 30-page unit of dramatic action, you must set up and establish the dramatic premise, the characters, the situations, and the relationships between the characters. Act 2 is a unit of dramatic action that's approximately 60 pages long and is held together with a dramatic context known as confrontation. Your character must encounter obstacle after obstacle to achieve his or her dramatic need. As we'll find out later, the dramatic need is what your main character wants to win or gain or get or achieve during the course of your screenplay. Act 3 is a unit of dramatic action that's held together by the dramatic context known as resolution. Now, resolution does not mean end. Resolution means solution. What's the solution of your story? Does your character live or die, succeed or fail, win the race or not? What is the solution of your story? Not the end. The end is that last scene or sequence of the script. Beginning, middle, and end. Setup, confrontation, resolution. Now, the next question is, how do we get from the beginning of the story to the middle? And how do we get from the middle to the end? The answer is to create a plot point at the end of Act 1 and a plot point at the end of Act 2. Now, the plot point is defined as an incident, episode, or event that hooks into the action and spins it around into another direction. It's that event that takes us from Act 1 into Act 2, and from Act 2 into Act 3. Now, there are many plot points in the screenplay, but right now we're only focusing on plot point 1 and plot point 2. Before you can write one word of the screenplay, there are 4 elements that you must know. You must know the end, you must know the beginning, you must know plot point 1, and you must know plot point 2. This is the paradigm of dramatic structure. Notice the relationship between the parts and the whole. Act 1 in relationship to Act 2, and Act 2 in relationship to Act 3. That's the structure of a screenplay. Now, structure is flexible. It's like a tree that bends in the wind but does not break. So what we do is take our idea and determine the ending. We determine the beginning, then determine plot points 1 and 2. And that brings us to our first assignment. Create the subject of your screenplay. Who is the main character and what is your story about? Is your story about a woman executive on vacation in Hawaii who meets a man, has an affair, returns home, only to learn the relationship doesn't work? That's the subject. Now, if you put the subject onto the paradigm, you start with the ending, the resolution first. The relationship does not work. So then, what's the opening of the story? We show the woman executive at work. What's plot point 1? She leaves for Hawaii for her vacation, and it's there that she meets the young man. What's plot point 2? She leaves Hawaii and returns home. Now that's your first assignment. Take your idea and put it into a subject, and then structure the subject on the paradigm. And now you're ready for part 2 of the assignment. We know 4 things about our storyline. We know the ending, the beginning, plot point 1, and plot point 2. Now, using these structural elements, we're going to write a 4-page treatment, which is a narrative synopsis of the storyline. This is what I call a kick in the ass exercise. Why? You don't know much about the detail of your story. You don't know about your characters, where they've come from, what their goals are, or what their dramatic need is. So you're trying to take an unformed idea and give it some kind of form. And it's difficult because you don't have enough information. The purpose of this exercise is to start the process, not complete it. So you have to be willing to write 4 tarot. And here's how we do this. On a half a page, write the opening scene or sequence in a dramatic narrative. Then, on a half page, summarize the action that occurs in Act 1. And then, in another half page, write the plot point at the end of Act 1 in a dramatic narrative. Now, for Act 2, take a separate sheet of paper and list 4 obstacles your characters encounter during the action of Act 2. Now, the obstacles can be internal, external, physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual. And most of them will be a combination of those. Now, on another sheet of paper, summarize each of the obstacles your character encounters in about a paragraph. Describe the obstacle and how your character deals with it. Next, In 1/2 page, write the plot point at the end of Act 2 in a dramatic narrative. And then, in another 1/2 page, summarize the action of Act 3, the resolution. And finally, in a 1/2 page, I want you to write the end scene or sequence in a dramatic narrative. And one more thing. When you've completed this exercise, do not show it to your wives, lovers, husband, friends, or family. You heard me right. Do not show it to anyone, because they'll either kill you with kindness or destroy you with their well-meaning intentions. Your idea is so fragile right now that a single question from a friend or a loved one could absolutely cause you to question and undermine your own story. Let the 4-page treatment be what it is, a start point. Nothing more and nothing less. Let's just enjoy the process and go to work. Now, the key to this exercise is being willing to write 4 terrible pages. And as you're writing, I want you to remember that. So now that you have your assignments, it's time to start writing. So let's do it.
Thank you for double tap here. Thank you. Thank you for double tap here. If you guys want me to dance here, you can just look at my hashtag here. Look at my tag here. Thank you for double tap. Double tap, double tap. I'm hungry.
Known as confrontation. Your character must encounter To give you an illustration of what we're going to be doing, here's a sample 4-page treatment. As I read it, you follow along. In a dream, Jennifer stares into a child's bedroom. She moves through the room looking at a football lying in an unmade bed, an empty closet, the empty dresser, and a photograph of a man standing next to a young boy in the mountains. The inscription reads, "Love, Dad." From the bedroom window, she looks at a bicycle lying on its side in the yard. She sits on the floor, draws her body into a ball, and begins crying. An alarm clock awakens Jennifer from the dream. She gets up and goes to the room where the dream occurred and awakens her teenage son, Brad. He refuses to get up and go to school, saying he's sick and doesn't feel well. Her insistence only worsens the situation. During their argument, she discovers a letter from Brad's father, encouraging his son to move back to the Midwest with him. Jennifer is outraged. Brad pleads with his mother to let him live with his father. Jennifer refuses to talk to him about living more than 2,000 miles away. She ends the argument with, "Your father is just putting damn foolish ideas into your head." Brad continues to disrupt life with his mother by poor performance in school and inexcusable acts of defiance and disrespect. He furthers his disregard for her by emphasizing her physical inability to do the manly tasks of throwing footballs and lifting weights. Jennifer fears she's losing her son. She decides to increase her time with him and puts him before men, work, and her own good time, but her efforts do little to gain respect or appreciation from him. He's determined to get his way and prove to her that she can't provide for his needs as well as his father. Jennifer is aware that she doesn't know what to do anymore and does not know what it will take to win back his affection. Jennifer, while running with her friend Jane, confides in her and relates her perception of the problem. Jennifer blames Brad's father for causing all the trouble and states that she's determined to find a way to turn Brad around. As they are running, Jennifer spots a poster advertising a wilderness trip. Wilderness survival adventures, a journey that develops control of our lives. Jennifer mentions that that's the kind of thing Brad's father does to win his son over to his side. Jane suggests that Jennifer should consider such an excursion, but Jennifer explains that she's not that adventurous and dismisses the subject. After they separate, Jennifer abruptly changes directions, returns to the poster, and tears it down. At home, she holds the poster in front of Brad and announces they're going on an adventure. Brad laughs at her. "My mom in the wilderness? That'll be the day." She begins making preparations for the journey. Jennifer and Brad prepare and travel by train to Montana, where they are greeted, instructed, and checked out by the expedition staff headed by Red Travis. Red flies them by helicopter into the wilderness, and they spend an uneventful but humorous 2-day scenic journey, hiking, swimming, fishing, camping, and photographing the sights until they reach the first checkpoint and expedition staff. Jennifer boasts with pride of their accomplishments, and Brad has all but forgotten the war they had at home.
Jennifer Hooper.
On the first evening of the second phase of their journey, after leaving the staff, they discover they must cross a rapidly raging river. They decide to pass their packs across by hand. During the process, Brad loses his balance and falls into the raging waters. Jennifer panics, drops her pack, and jumps in to save Brad. Her attempts to save him fail, and they tumble through the turbulent white waters. Brad's thrown into a cluster of boulders, and Jennifer is washed over the rapids and dumped into an eddy below. She climbs out just in time to watch their packs tumble down the river out of sight. She looks for Brad and finds him half drowning and crying in pain and shock. Jennifer frees the boulder, trapping his foot, and pulls him out of the water. Brad cannot walk and is in a great deal of pain. The mishap has taken them far away from their trail, and Jennifer realizes they're in serious trouble. She decides to stay with Brad rather than go for help or look for their gear. Their pockets contain nothing but wet matches, a knife, and one roll of film. During the next 3 days, Jennifer, unable to find the packs, manages to keep them alive by various acts of survival, building a fire without matches, catching a fish barehanded, making a shelter from dead branches, and dragging limbs to a meadow for markers in case they're spotted by aircraft. Brad's condition continues to worsen, and he begs his mother to go for help. She assures him that they'll be rescued when they don't show up at the next checkpoint. When Jennifer realizes that it's time they were missed by the expedition staff, she struggles to carry Brad to the meadow where the markers have been placed. Brad's ankle and leg are swollen, and he goes in and out of consciousness, asking for his father. Jennifer is concerned that he might be dying and tells him the many things she has withheld from him, the many feelings about her inadequacies as a mother and person. She blames herself for being the cause of the accident and the source of all their problems. She's close to giving up hope for rescue when a helicopter flown by Red circles above them. He's unable to land in the meadow and must lower a basket to lift them aboard. They are flown back to base camp and go by ambulance to the nearest hospital. The doctors want to call the family to help them get home, but Brad and Jennifer decide they can manage anything together after this incident. They are awarded badges from the expedition staff for their incredible acts of survival. Traveling home on the train, Brad boasts to strangers about their incredible journey and his mother saving their lives. When they return home, Brad's airline tickets have arrived for a summer vacation with his father. Jennifer asks Brad if he still wants to live with his father, and he explains that he wishes he could live in both places. He begs his mother to consider moving back to the Midwest, but she only shares how impossible that would be for her. Her reaction to the situation has mellowed, and she seems to really listen to Brad. And while running with her friend Jane, Jennifer informs her that she has decided that Brad should live with his father on a trial basis. Jane is shocked at Jennifer's change. Jennifer explains the transformation that occurred on the trip. She is convinced that she can survive without Brad, and that all mothers must let go of their children someday anyway. She's most concerned that Brad will always resent her if he isn't free to experience his father. Jennifer tells Brad how she feels, and although he's somewhat reluctant to leave her, they pack most of his belongings for a 6-month trial living arrangement with his father. Jennifer takes Brad to the airport, and they cheerfully make their departure. She hands Brad the only remains of their trip, a photograph of them together, standing amid the mountains with the inscription, "Love, Mom." Jennifer returns home and enters Brad's bedroom. The football lies on the unmade bed. The closet is empty. The dresser is empty. And the photo of Brad with his dad is still on the dresser. She looks out the window and sees a bicycle lying on its side. She falls to the floor and rolls into a ball and cries. After a few moments, the telephone rings. Wiping away her tears, she answers, "Oh, hi, Jane. No, nothing. Just surviving."
某某是有一个让六个数字电影，我听着找这个挺大的，你有没有兴趣？
So if structure is the foundation of your screenplay, the skeleton of your screenplay, then creating character becomes the heart, the soul, the nervous system of your screenplay. So we're going to be talking about creating your characters now. Henry James, the great American novelist, once asked a question about creating character. And the question was this: what is character but the determination of incident? And what is incident but the illumination of character? The word incident is the key. What is the incident that drives your story forward? Because it's the key that's going to start the engine, that's going to power the story that you want to tell. In The Shawshank Redemption, for example, it's the murder of Andy Dufresne's wife and her lover that sets the entire storyline in motion. And once that incident is determined, then you can begin to determine the causes that will let your character develop. So the first question we have to ask ourselves in creating character is this: what makes good character? There are 4 things that make good character. Number 1, you need a strong dramatic need. Number 2, you need a strong point of view. Number 3, you need an attitude. And number 4, you need change. So dramatic need, as defined, is this: what does your main character want to win or gain or get or achieve during the course of your screenplay? The dramatic need is always simple, and therein lies its complexity. Every character has a dramatic need because the source of all drama is conflict. If you can create your character's dramatic need, then you can create conflict that's built into the story, and your characters become more real, multidimensional, and we can identify with them completely. All the character's dramatic needs can usually be explained in a few words. In The Shawshank Redemption, for example, Andy Dufresne needs to survive in prison the best way he can. And yet the one real dramatic need for every prisoner is what? To escape, of course. Now, you as writer do not need to spell out your character's dramatic need. It doesn't have to be in the dialogue or the screenplay anywhere. But yet you have to know it, and you have to dramatize it. You have to give it a form and illustrate it with your character's behavior. Film is behavior. In Thelma and Louise, both characters have the same dramatic need: to escape safely to Mexico. Now, obviously, during the course of action, they'll grow and they'll learn things about themselves. After all, theirs is a story of self-discovery and enlightenment. So look at Titanic. What's Jack's dramatic need? Rose's dramatic need, or Cal's? Well, Jack's dramatic need is simple. Number 1, he gets on the boat so he can return to America.
Jack, you are passing with everything you have. When you have nothing to lose. I'm not a pensioner. And the fuck is going to get. Sven? Right. Moment of truth. Somebody's life's about to change. Fabrizio? Niente. Niente. Olaf? Nothing. Sven? Oh, too there. I'm sorry, Fabrizio. Che sorry, ma vaffanculo, ti vedo. I'm sorry, you're not going to see your mom again for a long time. Because we're going to America. Full house, boys! Per panna luce. Figlio di puttana! I'm going on! Come to America!
Helming, Titanic goes to America in 5 minutes.
But once he meets Rose, his dramatic need changes. And it's to put their differences in class aside and to win her affection.
Oh, forget it, Will. Feels like how the angels fly out of your hearts to get next to the likes of her. I saw that in Nickelodeon once and I was going to do it.
Darling, surely you've known Mr. Dawson.
That's amazing. That was nice for a gentleman.
Almost.
And Rose's need at the beginning? To free herself from Cal's oppressive domination. Women, of course, at that time are only an object, a trophy, an ornament to be seen on the arm of a man. And that's how most of the men on the Titanic of his class relate to her. But she wants to be free. She wants to be liberated, serving her own destiny.
I don't see what all fuss is about. He doesn't look any bigger than Mauritania.
You people say that's something interesting happened about Titanic. So we're pretty longer than Mauritania. Far more luxurious. The dollars are too difficult to keep us with.
So this is a ship they say is unsinking.
It isn't single. God himself did not sink the ship. Why did you go back to the main terminal? He found that way, sir. I put my faith in you, good sir. I see my man. Yes, sir. It's my pleasure, sir. If I can do anything at all.
It was a ship of dreams to everyone else. To me, it was a slave ship, taking me back to America in chains. Outwardly, I was everything a well-brought-up girl should be. Inside, I was screaming.
And Jack is the instrument that allows her to do that. She even tells him after they make love that she's getting off the boat with him once they dock in America. And Cal's dramatic need? He only wants one thing. He wants to win Rose's affections and make her his wife. According to what he thinks a wife should be. A lovely accessory to decorate his lifestyle. And that's what makes it a good match. And remember what her mother tells her. But, she says, we know we're different. We're women. and it's to put their differences in class aside and to win her affection.
Oh, forget it, Will. You just like how the angels fly out of your heart to get next to the likes of her.
哎，老师你好，您发份资料给我可以吗？ 老师，具体几天的戏啊，我不敢确定，因为我得见到您本人才能看哪个角色合适。然后我们这边戏预算有点低啊，所以而且您一问这个问题，我觉得我这戏应该用不起。没事儿，老师，反正加个联系方式呗，咱有机会再合作。我这价格跟骂人似的，我怎么好意思开口呢？老师，23号开机，央6的数字电影，一共是14部古装喜剧。行啊，行啊，我看我到时候缺什么，我可以找你啊。低的可怜，低的离谱，低的可怕，反正跟骂人似的。我现在我跟你说，我了解一下这个事情，我已经骂过很多人了。对，跟人一开口就跟骂人似的，骂的可脏了。